And we continue at 1:06 in the afternoon on the John Phillips Show. Mr. Randy Wings in Culver City.
Casey writes in at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. Hey, John and Randy, I was born and raised in Southern California. I loved my state, but after 50 years, the state no longer loved me. We left last year and are grateful every day. In regards to Kamala running, my dog has more intelligence than her. I've watched Rick Caruso, and yes, he's a businessman, which would be great for either mayor or governor. Unfortunately, he doesn't have a backbone and would let the council or the assembly run all over him. I still listen to your show daily and love both of you and your perspective. Can't wait to see what's in the crime blotter.
Well, we'll get to that later on. But first, we know that in a one-party state like California, if you have an issue, if you have a cause, that could become an excuse to, let's just say, put friends in high places, make sure those organizations are well funded, and if some of that money finds its way back to you, then that's just the icing on the cake. That's certainly what is going on with the homeless services organizations up and down the state. However, there is now an allegation that exists that the organization that is supposed to help fire victims in Los Angeles, well, the money is not finding its way to the actual victims. Is there more foul play at work here?
Well, you look at this. This is all going back to the FireAid concert that raised $100 million, supposedly to go to the victims of the fires in the Pacific Palisades, Malibu, and Altadena. And you would think in 2025, it would be simple enough to, let's say you raise $100 million, divide that by the amount of people impacted by the fires, and I don't know, send them all a Venmo, write them all a check. But no. That money went to a bunch of nonprofits.
Of course it did.
And there's one victim of the Altadena fires who is now asking, hey, how can I get some of that money? I literally am a victim. And he spoke to Fox 11's incredible Marla Tejas. Here is Fox 11 last night.
The death toll from the Eaton fire has now risen to 19. The LA County Medical Examiner says a new set of remains was found Monday on La Venecia Court in Altadena. That victim has not been identified. Experts are using DNA and dental records to confirm. In total, 31 people died in those January wildfires. Marla?
Well, Alex, more than 6 months after the live FireAid concert benefit raised $100 million for wildfire victims, and many are still looking to receive help.
How is this hard?
Because the money was never meant for them. It's just a cause. It's just an excuse to play the same game they always play.
I'm basically starting at zero. I wish it was just a terrible dream, a nightmare, but this is real.
That is Mark Jones. He was featured in a FireAid testimonial video during the concert. The longtime Altadena resident lost everything in the Eaton fire. Jones has questions on how to receive help, and he's not alone. We've heard from several wildfire victims asking about FireAid financial assistance, and Mark Jones, he's here now on set to share his story. Thank you for being here. Of course, sorry that you're one of the wildfire victims and you lost everything.
Thank you for having me.
Let's start with the testimonial you did for FireAid. How did that come to be?
I believe a young lady by the name of Emily reached out to me and asked me would I like to share my story, and I said sure. And we set up a date and we did the interview.
So they used this guy's story as part of the production for the FireAid concert, and he never saw a dime.
They left him out in the cold.
At Brookside Park in Pasadena.
Okay, and then the FireAid concert happens.
The FireAid happened, and actually I was doing another interview with another friend of mine on his podcast, and en route to the FireAid concert, I had everybody calling me and telling me, hey, we just saw you in the Jumbotron, and so I actually missed it, but a friend of mine sent me the tape of the interview. Okay,
so you're one of the first stories, testimonials that the crowd and audience got to hear from.
Yes.
What did you expect from FireAid when you did that?
With the FireAid and, the whole thing was set up to reach out to those who lost in Altadena and Palisades, and I was actually expecting some type of reach out or something to let us know that we're here to help you.
I mean, we literally know whose houses burned down. We know whose houses were affected by smoke damage.
And keep in mind, beyond the rebuilding process, which is a mountain of a project in and of itself, a lot of these people did not have policies that provided for things like money for hotel rooms. They had no place to go. So if you're talking about people who need immediate help from an organization like this to cover what their policies didn't, hotel costs and things of that nature would certainly be at the top of the list.
How many people, their entire wardrobe burned down? They had no clothes except for the clothes on their back.
Well,
so those are other expenses that you would figure something like this would be great for.
When a fire takes out everything you have, you need to go out and buy a new toothbrush. Literally everything is gone.
And I've been searching and trying to figure that out since.
Well,
This is somebody who was directly impacted by the fires. His home burned down, and no one from the FireAid $100 million concert charity is making it easy for him to access the resources that they used his likeness to raise.
Bad.
Well, we, in fact, talked to FireAid officials today, and we asked about them following up with folks like yourself who were kind enough to share their tragic stories, and they're looking into the process of actually following up with folks like yourself.
It's 6 months later. What have they been doing?
Yeah, how can you claim there's administrative delays for 6 months when you know this is a tragedy that happened fast and these people were in immediate need?
Like yourself. We have a statement from FireAid. It's up on the screen. I'm going to read this. It says, as a newly formed 501c3, FireAid does not have the capability to make direct payments to individuals, and that was never the plan.
Never the plan. In that regard, I think they're being honest.
We have got to reform the entire nonprofit system in the state of California and maybe the country. So you can start a charity that's supposed to help out fire victims, but at no point do you have to give that money to the fire victims.
I have a friend who is, let's just say, a political mover and a shaker, and was asked to be put on the board of an organization that was supposed to help veterans. And she said, okay, well, just tell me where the money is going, and I'll tell you if I'm in. Never got a response back.
To deliver aid into the community, we partnered directly with trusted local nonprofits who have the capacity to...
Oh, we gave the money to a whole bunch of nonprofits, and I'm sure you'll see it someday.
Oh, yes. And I'm sure these nonprofits don't have any politically connected people associated with them.
And some of these nonprofits have nothing to do with what the people who suffered with the fire are in need of.
Who have the capacity to reach the communities in need to provide food, security, housing, and resources for schools.
This guy didn't get any of that.
Nope. How much you want to bet those phony baloney homeless organizations were pigs at this trough?
Oh, some of them were. Some of them definitely were.
It goes on to say each dollar was intended for the community, and a stipulation of the funds was that not a single dollar was spent on administrative costs. They have, in fact, donated a lot of the money, $100 million raised, and millions of it has already gone to almost 170 nonprofits. You did reach out to them eventually. How is that going now?
I've been in contact with the young lady who interviewed me, Emily, and she's searching and trying to give me some information as to where I can try to tap into some of those funds.
Nobody knows.
How is this so complicated? You raise money to help this guy. People opened up their checkbooks out of generosity and gave you money because they were taken by his story. And this is the guy who can't get any of it.
You know who got some of that money? The St. Joseph Center, the crooked homeless organization in Venice where Dr. Valicia Adams-Callum came from.
Oh, I'm sure. And I'm sure the rest of those politically connected groups got some too.
We gave some money to a group called El Nido. They continue to build healthy families by providing community-based social services in undeserved communities.
Okay, this is two communities at play here. One in Pacific Palisades and one in Altadena. What the hell does that have to do with any of that?
Pathways LA got some money, based in downtown LA, working to make sure children in our most vulnerable communities have access to high-quality child care services.
So it was just an excuse to give more money to the crooked groups that we already have.
Yes. And this was originally reported in a group called Circling the News in the Palisades. This reporter, Sue Pascoe, I've interviewed her. She went on with Marla last week, and this story is starting to, forgive me, catch fire.
How are people not in jail over this?
Because what's happening is perfectly legal. This is what we've been doing forever.
But if you are selling a car and you say this car will get you 30 miles per gallon and the car actually gets you 15 miles per gallon, the FTC will be all over you. You can't do that. That's not legal. If you say, give us money so we can help this guy, and you don't help that guy, and you give it to all of these other groups that have nothing to do with the fire victims for this particular fire, which is all the victims you featured in your promotional materials, how is that not fraud?
One of the organizations was LA's Home for Native People, located at West Temple Street, whose mission is to promote and support the physical, behavioral, and spiritual well-being of American Indian Alaska Natives in Los Angeles and Orange County.
Okay. Orange County was not hit by the fire. And Native Americans, Altadena is basically black people and white people, and Pacific Palisades is basically white people and Asians.
Pacific Clinics got some money. They offer a continuum of services for all ages, including behavioral health treatment and culturally responsive programs, such as the Asian Pacific Family Center and the Latina Youth Program and the Armenian High WAP Program.
It's beyond my ability to comprehend that they allowed this to happen.
Okay.
Bill Asaley may be the one that shuts this down. Bonta, I'm sure, has taken some of that money too, or at least organizations that support him are getting some of that money. So he's useless.
Well, remember that story about Bonta going back to before he was appointed as Attorney General. His whole racket used to be that he would start a nonprofit, raise a whole bunch of money, and then he would send all of that money to his wife's nonprofit where she was on the board of.
But all of this money is transferred via wire or banks. That is a federal issue. If you commit bank fraud or wire fraud, that's a federal issue. There's got to be some angle here where Bill Asaley can start putting people in prison.
Okay, so at this point, you're still, in the process of getting.
Still in the process of getting.
Did you think that you would actually get direct money?
I did.
Wasn't that the whole point? Hey, these people just lost their homes and their livelihoods overnight. We're going to put on a concert where you can donate and we can directly help those people.
Who would have given money to them if you were to put on a concert and say, we want to give money to the crooked organizations that already exist that have nothing to do with the fires?
I did. As with, I'm sure, most Altadenians and those in Pacific Palisades, they also pretty much, the FireAid was for us, so we figured that, where's the money? Where is it going?
So, come to find out that's not how the process works, as you just heard in their statement.
Exactly.
Right? So it's given to the nonprofits, at which point then victims, they will actually match a victim like yourself with a nonprofit to help.
Yeah, that hasn't happened. Here's another one. Vision y Compromiso is an organization that got money from this. They're committed to community well-being by supporting promotores and community health. They want to make sure that you have the same person and the same language, culture, ethnicity, status, and experience of your communities, and that will reduce the barriers to health education.
This is unreal. All of this money is going to these worthless DEI groups.
So that is in
The People's Concern received a grant from FireAid. The People's Concern used that money to hire social workers to reach out to the homeless.
Great.
Not the people who just had their homes burned down, the homeless.
Yeah, and we still don't know what started the fire over in Pacific Palisades, do we?
We don't.
So that is in the works for you right now. I will make sure that happens for you and for viewers who are similar to you.
Homegrown got some money. Homegrown, their mission is to build a more inclusive childcare system.
I'm speechless. I'm speechless. Again, though, this is a one-party state where we don't matter, but the Democratic majority seems perfectly okay with this. So until they're offended, this is going to keep happening.
When St. Joseph's got money, that money was used for their staffing, operation, and other costs that had nothing to do with anyone who was affected by the fires. And by the way, St. Joseph's is based in Venice. The fires did not touch Venice.
When these people get arrested, I want it on television. I want a bunch of FBI agents and windbreakers kicking the door down, and I want the knee drop to the back.
That happens for you. And for viewers who are similar to you, what is your message to them?
My message to them is I want to make sure everybody has the opportunity to try to tap into some of that help and resource.
How are you doing? How are you able to sustain if you haven't received any help? Have you received any help?
I know I have received some help, but not from FireAid.
$100 million stolen, and he's got to go to other places to find help.
But I have received some help. I have some people who have donated and people who purchased tools for me and helped me to kind of get back on my feet. So I have received that, but I just was wondering with the whole FireAid thing, how do we tap into that and, get some of those resources?
And let me ask you, that was your message to fellow victims like yourself.
Yes.
What's your message to FireAid folks who may be watching tonight?
Can you send out a message so that we know where to go to right away to get those resources?
Why are we making it so difficult for the victims of these fires to get the help that was so generously given by the entire world?
Because the money's gone. This goes to show you how bulletproof these people think they are. They didn't even set aside crumbs for the victims. They took all of it.
We would love that.
Okay. I'm sure they're listening loud and clear. And for
They're not, Marla. Unfortunately, they're not.
Nope.
People who would like to tap into that, you can go to the website, fireaidla.org.
Don't you dare give a dime to that website.
Not a cent.
And you can
give it to Nigerian scammers before you give it to them.
It's 2025. It is not that difficult to individually find out the tens of thousands of victims, find their Venmo or their bank account, and send them a check.
Do not give these people 1 cent. If you'd like to email the show, you can do so at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. That's johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. And Randy, you're monitoring the mailbag.
A lot of people writing in about what's going on at FireAid and how this $100 million wasn't going directly to the victims of the fires. It was going to nonprofits. Some of them are completely unrelated to anything fire-related. Linda writes in at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com and says, DOJ and FBI need to investigate the distribution of FireAid money immediately. This is disgraceful and disgusting misuse of funds and the abuse of donors that contributed to it. Cal Volunteers is a state-run nonprofit run by Cal OES. That means more news coverage. And why is the CEO of LADWP still employed? She failed, she lied, people died, and she's still employed. She's still employed for $750,000 a year because Karen Bass said she took a pay cut from PG&E. Susan writes in at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. Hey, John and Randy, a good friend of mine and a brother lost their homes to the Eaton fire in Altadena. They were insured, but I learned that some people who lost everything were not insured, understandably so, thanks to Ricardo Lara. Considering the usual suspects burned the place down in the first place, allegedly, all this does, if you ask me, is build the case for arson against the totally useless bad guy nonprofits and politicians.
All right, let's go to Dave in Long Beach. Dave, hello.
Hey, guys, this is nothing new. Look what the Clintons did in Haiti. Unfortunately, the people of California are too stupid to figure it out, and I don't think anything will happen.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. If we leave it to the local people, nothing's going to happen because these politically connected groups are tied to basically all of the elected Democrats who have some degree of influence over trying to make sure that these fire victims are properly taken care of. The feds, though, that's a different story. Bill Asaley, don't forget, when he took over as U.S. Attorney for the Central District of California, he said that one of his top priorities is to go after any misuse of funds involved in these homeless organizations, these homeless advocacy organizations. He said that there's a lot of fraud going on over there, and he wants to uncover it and certainly hold them accountable for their actions. This would fit under that umbrella if that's where the money is in fact going. So I hope that Bill Asaley is listening and he takes a good long look at all of this.
Well, unfortunately, all the media and the politicians in California have to do is say Trump, orange man, bad, and it's Trump's fault, and people in California will be stupid enough to believe it.
Yeah. No, I believe a firm majority will believe that all of this money is going to the intended victims, and anyone who says otherwise is promoting propaganda. Just like they believe there was no rioting that went on in downtown L.A., the bullet train is an efficient way to get from L.A. to San Francisco, and everything else that they believe.
Let's go to Chris in Westlake Village. Chris, hello.
Hey, John, how you doing? Yeah, it seems like California is the new USAID. I mean, it was the same thing. That's why it got shut down, because all the money that was given to USAID, the starving people in Africa got, 10% of it. And then I heard that the Clinton Foundation built 6 houses in Haiti, and then, Gavin gave everyone $350 to get reelected, and $2 billion of homeless money is missing. I mean, it goes on. And then they were tricked to vote for Karen Bass, who's a communist, when Rick Caruso is the new Dick Reardon for Los Angeles. And I wish he would run for mayor again. But anyway, real quick, I took my calculator, I put in $100 million, and I divide it by 12,500 homes, which is bumping it up a little. It comes out to $8,000 a person. Now, I don't care if you're rich or poor or where you live. If your house burnt to the ground, you needed that money, and you got zero. So it's just another stone in the trickery of the Democrat Party. And I just wonder how many conservative country singers were at that FireAid concert.
Well, when you think about it, it's not just theft going one way, and you're right. If I haven't checked your math, but if you divided those numbers together, and you came out with $8,000 per household, then $8,000 per household is what was stolen from the fire victims. However, if you put on a concert and you told contributors that your money would be going to these fire victims and the money went someplace else, you stole from them too.
Exactly. Exactly. I'm glad I didn't try to go to that show.
Me too. Thank you for the call, sir. I appreciate it. Well, all of this is going on. Instead of knocking on doors and asking very pointed questions as to where the money went, California's Attorney General is focused on another pressing issue facing Californians, trying to make sure that fantasy sports is illegal.
This is Rob Bonta's cause celeb lately, and he talked to KCRA 3's Ashley Zavala about it. Here is what happened.
Making a decision to outlaw online daily fantasy sport platforms here in California. Attorney General Rob Bonta speaking publicly for the first time about this move. Now, earlier this month, he released a legal opinion stating these companies violate state law because they involve sports betting, which is...
Hasn't stopped them.
No, it hasn't, because they regard him as being irrelevant.
And even Gavin was like, nobody should take that seriously.
And a judge said it, too.
Illegal and not.
That's right. The organizations that Bonta was trying to shut down, they sued and they wanted a judge to put an injunction. And the judge said, I can't put an injunction because Bonta's legal opinion means nothing.
Illegal and not allowed in California.
All right, so where are we as of right now? KZRE3 Capital correspondent Ashley Zavala had a chance to catch up with our AG, Rob Bonta. So these platforms, I mean, they're still operating.
Yeah, they have not stopped at this point. Popular sites like Underdog, Fantasy, and Prize Picks are still up and running, and they've been operating in this state, though, for more than a decade. Bonta released this legal opinion a few weeks ago after a Republican state lawmaker asked him to weigh in a couple of years ago.
That was Tom Lackey, who also has gotten a bunch of money from the tribal casinos.
That's what all of these politicians involved in this have in common. They're taking money from the Indians, and they don't want competition.
The state's last two attorneys general were asked to do so, but they did not weigh in when asked for this opinion. So I asked Bonta, why do it now? And does he plan to take any action against these companies? Here's our conversation.
When the AG of the state of California gets a formal request for a legal opinion, as we did here from two separate legislators, it's our duty, not our discretion, but we are mandated. We shall respond and provide a opinion as appropriately requested under the law. There's no discretion or ability to say, hey, no, we're not going to provide that opinion. It's not an opinion. It's not a policy. It's not a discretionary act. It is a objective, straightforward description of what existing law is.
Yeah, but several attorney generals going back to the 2010s didn't have any problem with this.
No, this is kabuki theater, too. This is essentially two politicians who are receiving money from the Indian casinos, working in tandem. Okay, this is how it works. You put in the request, I'll put out the opinion, and then we'll try to shut it down that way. We'll see what the industry does.
And we provided that. So we are unique in the fact that we are the first AG to be presented with a formal legal opinion. And we were required and obligated and duty-bound to respond, which we did. And we described the existing law as it is.
And just to follow up on that, I mean, daily fantasy sports operators, since that legal opinion was issued, they're still operating as of this moment. Are they still violating the law? I mean, do people need to stop using these apps?
They're not gonna.
No, of course they're not. And they regard him as a moron, so they're not going to pay attention to any opinion that Rob Bonta puts out on the internet.
Let's say Bonta actually had teeth and he's able to shut down these sites from operating in the state of California. Do you know how crafty gambling addicts are? They'll download a VPN, they'll make it look like their phone's coming from Nevada, and they'll do all the gambling they want.
Well, if the judge says, though, that this guy's an idiot and to ignore him, then where are they going to prosecute you if that's what the judges are saying?
This is all empty threats.
It's a violation of the law, as our legal opinion has indicated, to provide a platform in the state of California to California consumers for the daily fantasy sports at issue. And the opinion is the first thing that we've been asked to provide, and we have, as you know. And the next step is our enforcement, and laws are meant to be enforced.
Okay, let's see you do it. Let's see you prosecute someone in a court of law and take them in front of that judge who said that your opinion is meaningless, and let's see what happens.
Laws are meant to be enforced.
What about immigration laws?
Yeah. Oh, no, not that one.
Laws are meant to be enforced.
How about if people are defrauded by a charity that spends the money on something else?
Laws are meant to be enforced. And we expect our legal opinion to be followed and complied with by everyone governed by it.
Even Gavin through a statement, said, don't worry about what he said. That doesn't matter.
You know what I want to do? I feel motivated. I don't even play fantasy sports. I am now motivated to open up an account and start playing just to stick a thumb in this guy's eye.
Just be careful if you start playing all these Angels players.
Well, I'm not dumb enough to bet on my team.
Okay, so can we expect action from you?
Absolutely.
Okay, I need an assist on that one. Shangy, can you come out of retirement for just 1 minute?
Okay, so can we expect action from you?
Absolutely.
I wonder if the dongs play fantasy sports.
So with that, we've actually, in the last 24 hours, have been reaching out to the Coalition for Fantasy Sports repeatedly. That includes daily fantasy sports operators across the country, really. Nothing from them yet. I've also reached out to FanDuel and DraftKings. They are not part of that coalition. They're a much bigger operation. FanDuel told us no comment, still waiting to hear from DraftKings. We've also reached out to the tribes who've been...
Yeah, I feel like FanDuel and DraftKings haven't stopped their ad buys on sports radio.
No. Why would you?
FanDuel told us no comment, still waiting to hear from DraftKings. We've also reached out to the tribes who've been calling on the Attorney General to enforce the law and back up his legal opinion. They did not have anyone available to comment today, but they have said, again, earlier this month, they hope the state's leaders back up that legal opinion and hold those who are breaking the law accountable.
But yeah, he wasn't willing or didn't elaborate on enforcement. So, I mean,
Right.
What about,
Yeah, how exactly is Bonta going to shut these things down?
Yeah, and you notice that the people who are trying to shut down their competition really don't want the light shined on them right now.
Oh, that fact did not go past Golston.
Bonta's campaign contributions? I mean, have any of these players in this whole thing contributed?
Yeah, I
to him?
dug into that today, and we're not sure. He did not mention the campaign contributions, but we will mention to you that campaign finance records show the online sports sites have not politically donated.
If you don't pay, you don't get to play in California when Rob Bonta's in charge.
Nope. They try to shut you down and make it so you can't make a living here.
Years ago, it was that Bonta was getting about the same amount of money from the card rooms as he was from the tribal casinos. And all of a sudden, the card rooms stopped giving him money. The tribal casinos gave him a lot of money. And what did he do earlier this year? He's trying to make it so the card rooms can't play blackjack anymore.
And this is the chief law enforcement officer in the state of California.
The online sports sites have not politically donated to the Attorney General, but the tribes certainly have throughout his political career. Gaming tribes.
At this point, you just have to ask yourself, because of Rob Bonta's financial interest with the tribal casinos, shouldn't he have had to recuse himself from making any legal opinion that has anything to do with gambling?
This is a guy who has accepted campaign contributions from people he was investigating actively.
To the Attorney General, but the tribes certainly have throughout his political career. Gaming tribes have given him a total of $334,700 between his campaigns for state assembly and Attorney General. Those date back to 2014. Bonta is running for re-election in 2026, and gaming tribes have given him $71,800 so far.
That's just earlier this year because he only announced he's rerunning for Attorney General in January.
So they basically were providing a portion of his re-election funds, and now they basically want to have a monopoly on any kind of gaming.
So far, those records show.
Yeah, you could say this is competition for the tribes. So, all right. Yeah. Thanks, Ashley.
Thank you.
There you go. If you're curious as why Rob Bonta wants to outlaw daily fantasy sports in the state of California, it has nothing to do with what the law is, because the law has been the same for years and years and years. It has everything to do with his political benefactors.
And here's the reality of the situation. There's only 24 hours in the day. There's only so much you can do. If you're the Attorney General of California and you look at all of the problems facing the state, you have to pick and choose what you think is important and what you think is not important. if you thought, for example, that protecting fire victims from having money stolen from them was an important use of your time, that's what you'd be doing. If you were the Attorney General, wouldn't you set up shop in Altadena or Pacific Palisades or bounce back between the two cities to make sure that those people weren't being abused and they're being abused by everyone? But instead of doing that, he's doing what the tribes want him to do, which is going after fantasy sports. Typical Rob Bonta. It's the John Phillips Show.